Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the You Got the Wrong Dude podcast. This episode is my review of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which they kind of scrapped because Dead Reckoning Part 2 is actually called The Final Reckoning. I don't know what happened with that. No one's talking about Dead Reckoning Part 1. It's a good movie, it's entertaining. Has the class, the richness of the previous, few Mission Impossible movies, but it didn't have that Infinity War snap to it, pun intended. And spoilers throughout, including right now, in the end, Ethan gets the key from Gabriel. So, no real cliffhanger. And I watched the first trailer for The Final Reckoning, and it looks good. But, the action sequences, the wide shots of the planes and the submarine, it didn't really do anything for me. I'm sure I'll watch it. I don't know if I'll see it in theaters, but I'm curious how they're going to retire or kill off Ethan Hunt. But, problem is, and I talked about this in the last podcast about the Andor series, because I got to talking about DC and the MCU and that, and there's no Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame kind of build-up. All these movies, they have their stories, and this is going to be, the 8th Mission Impossible movie, and so far, so good. Ethan and his team, they've always accomplished their missions. I think they could use some cliffhangers, but The Final Reckoning comes out this summer, I believe in July. I'm recording this on March 3rd, 2025. I actually watched Dead Reckoning Part 1 back in November, I think. But I wrote my notes, and again, it's one of those, I'm in no hurry to get to it, unfortunately. 28-minute intro until we get to the credits. So we still have credits 30 minutes in. And I think this one gets the record for the longest intro. Tons of exposition, and I'm just reading off my notes. So if it sounds like I am, that's because I am. Tons of exposition, basically repeating the importance of the keys and AI tech. And I'll get to the keys thing later. That's a big disturbance in this movie for me. Kittredge being reassigned however long ago makes me question the whereabouts of other IMF directors whom survived, of course. I think the 2-part Solomon Lane saga was a better fit for the finale, bringing him back again. Because he was in Rogue Nation and Fallout, and those are great movies. Great installments. So far, and this is when I was 30 minutes in, this mission, yet again, doesn't seem impossible. Ilsa. Why did I write that like that? Ilsa's survival from the beginning, I would have kept a secret until the end. Instead, they reveal it in the intro. It's why? Why not keep that till the end? Mission aborted at the airport felt like a good ending, cliffhanger into part 2. Car chase is okay, but the Mr. Beanmobile took the seriousness out of it. Needs better, more intense shots, different direction. I think my alternate ending for Fallout, Ethan, when he's in that hospital bed, reveals to Julia that he didn't retrieve the detonator. And that would have served for a more epic cliffhanger people would be talking about. Because we assume that he got it, and then he just looks over to her, and she gives this still stare, unsettled look, and just hugs Ethan. We fade to white, and it's wait, did it go off? What happened? Great looking film. Again, has that look. These look like Bond movies, since Ghost Protocol. But too much exposition repeating itself. And an hour and 11 minutes in, not enough setup so far for the main villain. Stop saying keys so much. That's my issue with it. They have this meeting, which I'll... Oh yeah, that's coming up right now. The key itself takes reign over the AI it supposedly controls. The party meeting is the best scene so far, but stop saying key. And after I wrote that, they said it like 5 more times. If Gabriel was thought to be dead, what are the odds that Solomon was unleashed by the White Widow, masked as Gabriel? That could work, because he's thought to be dead, which hasn't been explained or shown so far. But that meeting, I swear, everybody says key. They're trying to sell it like an infinity stone, really. But the problem is there's no setup for this in the previous movies. Yeah, and even Ghost Protocol, that was supposed to be Ethan Hunt's send-off. Because Jeremy Renner's character, Brandt, was supposed to take over, but I don't know what happened, what fell through in that, because he just had a very brief cameo in Rogue Nation, Jeremy. So with this, it's like, is somebody going to take over? What's going on? Because, again, these movies are great in that. The time they come out, but now it's kind of like, well, who's talking about Ghost Protocol or Rogue Nation, you know? Good fights on the bridge and in the tight space. Palm as Paris is a great character. Ilsa's death scene, another great finale, but still an hour to go. The entity imitating Benji's voice is thrilling. I really like that. Great setup for how they'll... Well, I wrote how they'll win, how they could win in Final Reckoning, not using standard comm devices and such, because we saw what happened with Luther. He's going off the grid to do whatever. What happened to Ilsa's body? Am I pronouncing her name right? I wanted to say Isla. Yeah, Ilsa. And why did Ethan let Paris live and escape? Luther's speech about the entity winning no matter what the outcome is captivating. Should have been set up earlier. The final hour of this is better, intense. Even though Paris was betrayed by Gabriel, why help Ethan and Grace? Like, why not let her live and escape for a spin-off? It's kind of like you were betrayed, but it's like, well, but you were against the other side, so why would you join them? Ethan snagging the key from Gabriel is a cheer-worthy moment, but in a way it doesn't mean that we've won, that the mission wasn't impossible. I think Gabe escaping with the key is a better setup for the Final Reckoning. And based on the trailer for the Final Reckoning, I wonder, will Gabriel be the main villain in Final Reckoning? This is an odd note. First viewing of the trailer, I swear I saw him, but repeat viewings, I didn't see him at all. But then I watched it again and I was like, oh yeah, you just see one shot of him. Problem in finales is when you introduce characters and some with a connected history rather than using what you have, like Kittredge. Not that he's a villain necessarily, but bringing back elements from the past or characters we're not familiar with in that. Let's see, Grace to take over for Ethan as Renner's Will Brandt, like I said, hasn't been seen since Rogue Nation, nor referenced, I believe. According to sources, Jeremy Renner refused to return as his character because he was to be killed off, which I don't buy. Because if he was to take over, but maybe they were like, you know what, Tom signed on to do more of these, and we're basically in Rogue Nation or even in Fallout, they were like, if you come back, we're just going to kill off your character. But I don't know. But I think Final Reckoning is a perfect opportunity for his reintroduction so he and Grace can take over the reins, if that's the plan. Of course, both connected to Marvel, so we'll see what happens with that. Final Reckoning won't end on a win, as the entity cannot be stopped, as it likely pulled an Ultron and spread across the internet and devices. I think Ethan will fake his death because it fears him, but it developed a code to survive beyond the host device. Remember it showing at the party meeting. I'm surprised Dead Reckoning didn't pull a Fast X, looking like it killed off Luther, Benji, and others. Clearly their survival would be right for the sequel, and how they faked it or outsmarted the villain. Okay. I feel like I've already talked about this. More like Mission Impossible, Hunt for the Key. Get it? Golly. I wrote golly? What the Golly, people saying key like people say literally. See, it's not the word itself that bothers me. It's just, I'm literally starving. It's like, well, no, starving should be the emphasis. And who's questioning you when you say that? I'm starving. What do you mean, like figuratively, metaphorically? As if it's an Infinity Stone saga. Key. When I have the key will be mine. Whoever tries to take the key from me will find that they will not be able to take the key because the key is in my possession and I have the key. Just give me the freaking key, man. This is the key to everything. They say it so much. I have a feeling Ethan and Grace, if she doesn't take over, we'll see, will pull a Dark Knight Rises ending, faking their deaths, then using the clean slate tech to start fresh elsewhere. Because I don't think, even if we see Ethan die, it's still like, it's just like, no, we don't believe he's dead. He would have outsmarted people. Julia's fate. Would Gabe go after her to threaten Ethan? I'd like to see her again. I like how they used her in Fallout. And how they didn't patch things up in the end. It was just kind of like, we're different people. It's great to see you. Thanks for helping. Maybe Luther will seek her help. Just like in Fallout. But that was nice because it wasn't like it was so convenient they were there. It was all set up by Solomon. But it was nice to see her again. And at the end of Ghost Protocol, I like that they used that music score from Mission Impossible 3. How long after Dead Reckoning does Final Reckoning take place? Ethan's hair is longer, maybe a year. The Rabbit's Foot, I called it. An Owen Davian connection to tie things together, as we never learned what it was. And this is a good way to honor Philip Seymour Hoffman, if they want to. That shot, it looks like a new shot that's from Mission Impossible 3. Maybe they de-aged Cruise, which they wouldn't have to much, but that's the only thing that psyched me about the trailer for Final Reckoning. And perhaps it's used as a bargaining chip to learn the whereabouts of the sub. Erica allows the IMF to unleash it, but demands it must be returned. Hunt outsmarts us and the villains, as it turns out to be a replica with no harmful properties. I don't even remember writing that. That's funny. Who is Erica? Is that the White Widow? But anyways, it could still be a MacGuffin, basically, which is basically, it's like if you ever seen Ronin, we never learn what's in the case. Could have been ice skates. What was in the case? I don't remember. I do not remember, huh? Christopher McQuarrie directed Rogue Nation, Fallout, this, and Final Reckoning. Could have set up some plot elements for finale in Rogue Nation and Fallout, because those two are very connected, which I like, but then to go into a finale, again, it's like the Russo brothers. It's like I like that all movies are different, but more of a build-up to this key. Gabe has a great voice. Who picked him up in the vehicle when he fell from the train? Solomon? Who was the buyer for the Rabbit's Foot? Are they back? Because remember in Mission Impossible 3, there are going to be potential buyers for the Rabbit's Foot. And we never got like a conclusion on that. Obviously, they'd have to, send their associates to collect in that. and be the fall guy in case, the government gets involved and they set up a meeting or whatever. But again, this could conclude all that. Was Gabe the or one of the buyers from MI3? That's interesting. Because it wouldn't be difficult to retcon Gabe into, past movies in that. Because it's like, where has he been? Kind of like in the recent Bond franchise with Daniel Craig. All the movies, they wanted them connected. And then in the end, you learn it was one person. I kind of liked that it was Blofeld who said, I'm the author of all your pain in that. Even though in No Time to Die, we have a different villain, they just keep going to the past in that, even though this is supposed to be a fresh reboot for Bond. But point being, what if they go with Gabe is responsible for everything in all the movies, but he just didn't present himself until now, which they'd have to explain why. But again, to Fast X, they tie it directly, they retcon into Fast 5, because they put Jason Momoa's character in scenes, and it actually doesn't work when you look at Fast 5, like where he was sitting and this other character, and it's like, oh, that doesn't match the shots that were in order. But anyways, I'm just curious, why Gabe, why now? Because we don't know Ethan's past. It was never like a storyline. And I'm just concerned, this finale, what is it going to wrap up, It seems like a trilogy would be a better fitting for the cruise finale, considering the runtimes. Final Reckoning, last I checked, is 3 hours and some change. And Hunt and Gabe to team up to outsmart and defeat the entity. What do you think? Because you never know. Marie not dead. Her death used as the push to get Ethan to join IMF. Kind of like in the Avengers, they needed the push. I wrote again about the rabbit's foot. Ethan with shorter hair. Outfit more fitting from MI3. Oh yeah, so I think that shot of him snagging the rabbit's foot, it's from that timeline of him in Mission Impossible 3. So it's not like a new shot for this timeline, for this movie, if that makes sense. It's mainly a flashback, I think. Less running, more action in the next Final Reckoning trailer. Got to get this going. We should have had a second trailer by now. But I am curious how it's going to end, how they're going to send off his character. Are we going to have like a Top Gun Maverick kind of thing with him and, I don't know, Grace? It depends on, I don't know, there's just, I don't know if this movie should be, Final Reckoning, but it's kind of like, well, what storylines do we need to wrap up? Like, what hasn't been dealt with? We have all these new characters, and it's like, do you want to set them up for their own movies? Like, maybe in the end, it just ends like a regular Mission Impossible movie, and just on to the next one. And Ethan Hunt, like Tom looks great for, what is he, 63 now? So I could see his Ethan Hunt showing up in spin-offs of that. Maybe one just to help out, the new team. But no one's really, no one's really talking about the team. The problem is, well, not a problem, but, you go back to the first few movies, it's like, what happened to all those people? Like Luther has been the one, I believe, in all the movies, just like Ethan. But like Julia, if we don't see her again, I'd love to see her again. I think Michelle Monaghan's a great actress in that, but Fallout, the way that ended, it was like, that was really sweet, and it's just kind of like, all right, take care, happy for your new life in that. Sorry about all this. But with Kittredge, I don't know. And hopefully not too many twists in that. Because like in Fallout, when all of our main characters are in that room, I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it was a safe house or something, but all these twists in that and betrayals, and it's kind of like, I'm so lost. Even, I should have written this down. Was it Angela Bassett's character? I still don't know whose side she's on. I'll have to watch Fallout again. I actually own it. But, looking forward to this, but it just doesn't feel like a finale, like people on the edge of their seat. I think it'll do well. I could see it crossing 1 billion. But I just hope that the next trailers really lure us in. Because again, the rabbit's foot, that's really interesting. And then of course the Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt. Because, next year will be 30 years since the first movie. Oh, and the first movie, why didn't I write this down? Let me see if I have more notes here. Nope. But even incorporating the knife from the first movie, that I'm drawing a blank on. When he's in that lab and he's trying to get that list, I think it was the knock list. And it's like, to bring back the knife and then the rabbit's foot. And it's interesting, but I'm really curious how those will play a part in this, or if they're just going to flash back for some reason, just referencing those things. I don't know. Because what do those have to do with AI and the key? Gosh, stop saying key. Now I'm saying it. I'm going to stop. I'm not going to say key. I'm going to stop. But let me know what you think. Leave some comments. I'd love to hear from you. You can download this episode for free. Like it up. Subscribe. Share it with others. And yeah, thanks for listening. I appreciate it. And the Final Reckoning, even Dead Reckoning, it's kind of like, okay. Not great, but could use better titles. But anyways, I'm sure we'll get another trailer, I imagine this month or next. So, but yeah, that's it. So stay tuned for more episodes, and I will see you next time.